2015, while standing on Ogden Avenue in the Bronx, Gabriel Hernandez suddenly collapsed in front of horrified bystanders, who then alertly flagged down a passing FDNY ambulance driven by a brand new FDNY EMT, just days into his career. You need to be ready to save a life from day one here at the fire department, and EMT Frias was ready. He was soon joined by the members of Engine Company 6-8, paramedics from Station 14, an officer from Station 17, and EMTs from Bronx Lebanon Hospital who worked together to restore Mr. Hernandez's pulse and breathing. Mr. Hernandez, please come meet the quick-thinking rookie and quick-responding team of veteran FDNY members who gave you your second chance. In the East Village on June 19, 2014, when he collapsed, stopped breathing, and went into cardiac arrest. Over the next several minutes, FDNY resources poured in from across Manhattan, bringing the training and determination EMTs from Station 8, paramedics from Station 4, and an officer from Station 10 arrived and worked tirelessly to restore his pulse, not once, but twice. David Jacobs is alive today because 10 FDNY members worked together as one to save his life. Mr. Jacobs, please come meet the team that gave you your second chance. FDNY fire alarm dispatcher Sherry Johnson Campbell was on duty at her post in Brooklyn on August 8, 2014, when she experienced a seizure and dropped to the floor in front of her stunned colleagues. In seconds, 8 of her fellow dispatchers were at her side performing CPR and applying an external defibrillator. It should be noted, as this chaotic scene unfolded, calls continued to come into the 911 system from many more New Yorkers in need, and Dispatcher Johnson Campbell's colleagues answered every single one, ensuring that the FDNY continued to reach those most in need of help. Working as a team, those dispatchers were able to restore her pulse. Paramedics and a lieutenant from EMS Station 31 and EMTs from Brooklyn Hospital responded to take over care and transport Dispatcher Johnson Campbell to Brooklyn Hospital. She is now back at work, dispatching FDNY units to many of the more than 1.6 million calls the FDNY responds to. Ms. Johnson Campbell, please come thank your fellow FDNY members who gave you your second chance. Richard Johnson was home with his wife on the morning of June 24, 2013, when he collapsed without warning. His wife quickly called 911. Help came quickly in the form of paramedics and EMTs from Mount Sinai Roosevelt Hospital and FDNY Lieutenant Kevin Mazuzin. The responding units found Mr. Johnson in a lethal cardiac rhythm. They administered oxygen, shocked him with an external defibrillator, administered intravenous medications, and restored his heart rate before transporting him to Bellevue Hospital for additional care. Mr. Johnson, please meet the medical professionals who worked so hard to give you that second chance. Gregory Moquin was in New York City on a trip from Virginia to visit family on February 22, 2014, when severe chest pains woke him from sleep in his Manhattan hotel room. He called the front desk for help. They called 911, and minutes later, paramedics and EMTs from Station 4 were in his hotel room administering care. Paramedics initiated cardiac monitoring, which showed a potential critical blockage in his heart. The decision was made to bring him to Bellevue Hospital. When he entered the emergency department, his heart stopped. But the FDNY paramedics and EMTs began CPR and shocked him with a defibrillator before turning care over to the outstanding staff at Bellevue Hospital. Thanks to the expert patient assessment and quick response by FDNY members, Mr. Moquin is able to tell his friends back home about his unique trip to New York. Mr. Moquin, please come meet the team that engineered your second chance. Laura Murphy had just called out sick to work on Monday morning, March 31st, 2014, when her condition quickly worsened and she lost consciousness in front of her husband. He called 911, summoning firefighters from Squad 288, paramedics and EMTs from Station 45, and an officer from Station 46. Together, this group of highly trained FDNY members went to work to save Ms. Murphy's life, displaying the dedication and skills they bring to every single call. Ms. Murphy, please come meet the men and women who gave their all to give you your second chance. Early on the morning of Sunday, April 13th, Carlos Reyes collapsed on the pitcher's mound while playing softball in Marine Park, Brooklyn. His teammates wasted no time in calling 911 for help. That help arrived minutes later in the form of firefighters from Engine Company 309, paramedics from Station 43, and EMTs from New York Community Hospital. Together, their training and most of all their perfect teamwork helped save Mr. Reyes' life. Mr. Reyes, please come meet the team of FDNY members who took the field to save your life and give you a second chance. Sharon Rhodey was attending Mass at Deliverance Baptist Church in Queens with her mother on January 26, 2014, when she lost consciousness and slipped into cardiac arrest. 4 Good Samaritans, off-duty nurses, leapt into action, beginning bystander CPR, which would prove critical to Miss Rhodey's survival. Minutes later, an FDNY lieutenant from Station 45 and firefighters from Engine 317 arrived to continue CPR and shock Miss Rhodey with a defibrillator. They were soon joined by paramedics from EMS Station 47 and EMTs from Station 54. Together, these 14 men and women worked tirelessly to bring their patient back. Ms. Rhodey, please come meet the men and women who would not quit until you had a second chance. Howard Rosenbluth was in line to see a show in Manhattan on September 16, 2014, when he collapsed in front of a large crowd of theatergoers. Luckily for Mr. Rosenbluth, an off-duty FDNY firefighter was in that same line. Working with security at the theater, he began CPR and shocked Mr. Rosenbluth with the defibrillator before members of Engine 14, EMS Stations 8 and Station 20 arrived. Together, the many FDNY members worked to transport him to the hospital. Mr. Rosenbluth, please come meet the FDNY members whose incredible efforts made certain the drama outside the theater was no tragedy and gave you your second chance. Joseph Shelmett was headed home from work when he felt dizzy and fell to the floor while entering a train inside Penn Station. Two bystanders leapt to his side to perform CPR, quickly learning that Mr. Shelmett was no stranger. He was their co-worker. They were soon joined by Amtrak police officers from the K-9 unit who continued CPR and shocked him with an external defibrillator. Firefighters from Engine 1 were next on scene, followed soon by paramedics, EMTs, and a lieutenant from EMS Station 7. Together, this group of men and women saved Mr. Shelmett's life. Mr. Shelmett, please come meet the many people who had a hand in your second chance. Brittany Williams of Tallahassee, Florida, was in town on vacation with her parents when she went into cardiac arrest while at dinner in a Manhattan restaurant on December 6, 2014. Thankfully for her, two doctors were eating in the same restaurant, and they immediately began bystander CPR. Minutes later, firefighters from Engine Company 23 arrived, followed soon after by paramedics and EMTs from Mount Sinai Roosevelt Hospital and a lieutenant from EMS Station 10. After additional CPR and shocks from an external defibrillator, Ms. Williams' heartbeat was restored. 9 days later, she was discharged from the hospital and able to return home. Ms. Williams, thank you for coming back to New York to meet the rescuers who gave you your second chance. Please join me in one more round of applause for all of our survivors, heroic bystanders, EMTs, paramedics, firefighters, and officers who joined us this morning to share their amazing stories. Thank you.